Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. I hope you're all very well tonight. So I just want to give a quick hello to everyone who's on the stream tonight. So let's start from the top. We have Tom. Thank you so much for turning up tonight, Tom. And Killer. Great to have you again, Killer. Great for all of your help in moderating. We have John Bridge, Kenny, Stellan, Lenhan. Great to see you again, all of you. We have Verti. Great to see you. Stellan, sorry, I said Stellan already. Captain Levance, great to see you again, Captain. Magister, great to see you. Weescott's Dog, great to have you on. Dano, great to have you, Dano. Pixel, 1962. You giving away your age there. Matthew, great to have you on, Matthew. Matthew's from California beaches, I see. Ooh, and the weather's hot, but the pubs are closed unless you want to drink outside. So as you probably know what's happening in the UK tomorrow, or in England, I should say. We have Lars. Great to see you, Lars. Let me see. Who else have we got? Kevin. Great to see you, Kevin. Mustang. Sorry, Max. Early shift tomorrow. 4:06 start. Oh, my God. I'll catch you another time. Give him hell. Thank you very much, Mr. Mac Mustang. So get a good night's sleep. We have O'Neill. Malena, great to see you. Marilena, sorry. Marilena, great to see you again, Marilena. We have Gunnar Bish, great to see you. From Bavaria. Who else have we got? David Clay, great to see you again, David. Keith, great to see you. Christian, great to see you. Matt Greek, great to have you on again. Then we also have QA Library. Haven't seen you for a while on the stream. Great to have you again. Then who else have we got? Disalsi. Sorry. Great to have you on. Night Raven. Great to have you on again. And moderating of course, doing a great job. Paul Roland Doe. Great to have you on. Lenny Harry. Great to have you. Great to have you on. Great to see you. Hope you're well. Enzo the God, great to have you on. Great to have met you on Zoom last week. William, great to have you. Keith, Tiny Demolition Lover, great to see you again. Hope you're well. Who else have we got? Bill, great to have you on, Bill. Pete Robbins, great to see you, Pete. Morag, I think I said hello to David already. Stuart K. Anthony C, great to see you, Anthony C. Tim, great to have you, Tim. Obi-Don. Obi-Wan, not Obi-Wan, Obi-Don. Great to have you on, Obi-Don. Michael Murphy, great to see you, Michael. John, Temps, Paul, Bob, great to see you, Bob. Hope you're well. Elidio, great to see you. The Gears of War, fantastic video game. Noel, great to see you. Max are better than PCs, great to see you, Max. Better than PCs. Hi, Max. To alcohol, the cause and the solution of all life's problems. Exactly, Homer was right. Steph, great to see you, Steph. Conservator, great to see you again. Hope you're well. Glasgow Kiss, great to have you on again. English Viking. Wow, we have lots of people. Wow, we're up to 122 viewers. That's fantastic. Jean Rene, great to see you. Stephen. Tom, I think I said already. I said hello to Tom. The Crazy Harry Duck. Always a regular. Great to see you, the Crazy Harry Duck. 303. And I think we have everyone. I think I said. And apologies to anyone I didn't say hello to. Pauline, great to see you, Pauline. I hope everyone's very well. So not much really to say about what's happening here in Italy. We're quite lucky at the moment. We haven't seen a surge or a spike yet. We haven't seen a second wave either. Restaurants, pubs have reopened, of course, and people are maintaining social distancing. I had to go to the post office today, and I noticed people are wearing masks and maintaining social distancing, so we're quite lucky in that regard. So it's I hope it's not the calm before the storm here in Italy, but we are seeing a lot of countries who have come out of lockdown starting to see new cases, which is extremely worrying. Vic, someone, great to see you, Vic. Tov Ivar, great to see you. Who else is on? So lots of new people on the stream tonight, which is fantastic. So, as you all know, tomorrow is Super Tuesday, and it's not related to Super Tuesday. What am I saying? Super Tuesday, Super Saturday. It's not related to Super Tuesday, which is in the United States during the primaries. Instead, we have Super Saturday in the UK. So I'm going to read from this article. Remember, guys, to hit that like button, smash that like button. It helps the stream. It gets more people on the stream, which helps the channel and it helps me out. It helps build the channel. Where, just to let you know, we last month the channel hit 25,000 subscribers, and perhaps by tonight, if all goes well, it will be on 28,000 subscribers, and that's amazing. In the space of about a month, it has gained about 3,000 subscribers, which is fantastic news. So it says here in this article, and as always, if you want to hit me with a super chat, I'll prioritize your question or your comment. Or if you just want to support the stream or support the channel, you can just hit with a super chat and put in whatever you want into it. So, of course, the UK, so it says here in this article, the UK's PM urges responsibility ahead of Super Tuesday. Tuesday, why? Okay. Maybe I should just shut down the stream tonight. I'm not reading things right. Super Saturday. I have Super Tuesday fixed in my mind. I don't know why. As lockdown restrictions ease across England, government urges Brits to enjoy summer safely. Now, it's a bit difficult to read this article because the screen has gone a bit darker, but I'll try and read it anyway. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Friday urged people to act responsibly while enjoying summer. All those businesses and their workers have put in a heroic effort to prepare their venues for the reopening, to work out a way for trade, to trade in a way that keeps their customers safe, Johnson said in a speech ahead of the so-called Super Saturday, when lockdown restrictions are eased across England. Nice article, really clear. I'm sorry. Super Saturday, Max, exactly, not Super Tuesday. But the success of the businesses and likelihood of those who rely on them are ultimately the economic health of the whole country is dependent on every single one of us acting responsibly. We must not let them down, he said. What is Super Tuesday? Pete asked, what is Super Tuesday? It's a day during the primaries in the US when all of, I think something like 15 or more than 15 states vote. The text is black. Okay, let's leave this. Unfortunately, I don't know why it's not appearing. I don't know if you probably can't see it. The text is very faint. Let's move on to the next point, but it's still related to what the problem is of Boris Johnson explaining how. Let me see, where is the. I'll just open up this video about Super Saturday. So we'll go to the video instead. Apologies for that. I don't know why the image was not visible.
You've said that you won't hesitate.
So this was quite embarrassing. So Boris Johnson was asked today about his father traveling to Greece, Dominic Cummings breaking the rules, and why the public should actually listen to him. Tom says tries to select the browser. Maybe, yeah, we can try that instead. Well, we can watch this video and then I'll try to go back to the article that we had seen. Okay. Captain Levins, thank you very much for that super chat. Just back at work in East London warehouse, wearing a mask as some mates are going to the pub. Keep safe all. Oh, I'm really worried about people going back, people going into the pubs. What's happened here in Italy is that people have maintained social distancing, and people haven't gotten crazily drunk. Sorry, I hit my microphone. And especially where I am, and we didn't have really any serious issues. There were a number of cases where people had street parties and the police arrived and moved them on. But I'm extremely worried about what's happening in the UK and in Ireland also. In Ireland, they're opening pubs tomorrow, or maybe it's even tonight on Friday. But it's either today or tomorrow they're opening pubs in Ireland, and it's extremely worrying because people will enter, maintain social distancing, and then what will happen is you'll have a few drinks, you'll forget to put on the mask, you'll bump into people, you'll wander around, you're not going to respect social distancing after a few drinks, and then people will go out of the pub at the same time or whatever and congregate outside or congregate at the exit, and of course you're going to defeat the purpose of actually having social distancing in the first place. No pub for this lad, Jeremy. Good evening. No pub for this lad. Yes, I'd love to go to the pub. I think it'd be nice. In Italy here, it's quite different, the pub scene, than in Northern Europe. But it's understandable people wanting to go back to the pub. But I think the problem is, once again, social distancing may be practiced at the beginning, but during the night it's going to gradually wear away. Okay, so let's hear what this lady had to say to Boris Johnson.
You've said that you won't hesitate to slam on the brakes if the pub's reopening doesn't quite go to planned. Would you consider completely shutting pubs if you can see in a few weeks that this isn't working? Is that the kind of handbrake measure you're referring to? And
so that would be interesting. So if what happens is the pubs open, they start to see people congregating in pubs, not respecting social distancing. Will Boris Johnson close the pubs? I don't think he will, because it would be extremely difficult. He probably do it in isolated cities. So if there's a spike in a particular city, then they'll close the pubs and shops or whatever in that area. But I don't think their approach is to actually close all pubs, even if we're going to see a complete and utter disaster tomorrow.
secondly, your father travelled to Greece against non-essential travel advice. Dominic Cummings was seen to have broken the spirit of lockdown rules by travelling to County Durham. Why should the public obey all the rules that you're putting out at the moment on the pubs reopening, when it does feel as though those close to you flout the rules?
There is no reason, because Dominic Cummings broke the... I think Dominic Cummings broke the rules. He explained it in detail in a number of videos some time back. And it made a complete sham of any message the government were putting forward. You know, if they had fired Dominic Cummings, or at least sanctioned him in some way, then you could say, okay, he made a mistake, he got punished, let's move on. But he wasn't punished. So anything after is just a sham. Tor McCool, thank you so much for that kind donation. If you have a question, stick it in the chat. I'll attempt to respond to it. Thank you so much. And also the idea of Boris Johnson's father traveling to Greece. How did he travel to Greece if there was a lockdown? I don't fully understand what happened there.
Well, thanks very much, Kate. Well, first of all, on the episode in Durham, the Durham police made very clear that they weren't pursuing that. I'd make it a normal practice not to comment on the movements or doings of my family. But what I can tell you...
But the Durham one wasn't about Boris Johnson's father. It was Dominic Cummings. Dominic Cummings isn't a member of your family.
Is that actually, when you look at what the British public have done over the last 3 months, it has been a phenomenal effort to follow the guidance and get this thing under control. And people have worked together, and they've done an absolutely heroic job. And
they did. Yes, they have. And you had Dominic Cummings throw it all under a bus. People weren't able to go to funerals. People weren't able to see loved ones for the last time because they understood it was important to maintain a distance from those people. And then Dominic Cummings just threw all that under a bus, and there was no consequences for him. Even if he didn't, I think he broke the rules, but even if he didn't technically break the rules, he broke the spirit of that, and he undermined government policy. So he should have resigned. I talked about this before. I said how the Scottish chief medical officer, she went to her second home and she resigned, and that was the thing to do. He didn't break any lockdown rules. The police said that. The police said they're not investigating. Now, the spirit of what? The spirit of the lockdown.
That's why we've got incidents running.
Like, it's the same as if Boris Johnson came out and said, you all have to stay at home, but I'm not going to give a crap and I'm not going to stay at home. Do you think, even though he wouldn't have to do it, even if the rules don't apply to him, do you not think it'd be important for him to set an example?
So much lower than it was only a few weeks ago. It's because of the collective efforts of the British public. We've got to keep that going now. I don't want to close all pubs at all if we have a further outbreak. What I've tried to say, I think you meant, do you want to close all pubs in the country? I don't want to get back to another national lockdown of that kind. We want to deal with local outbreaks, with local lockdown measures, and we're greatly assisted in our ability to do that by the test and trace operation. You've seen it work in Kirklees, in Ashford, Weston-super-Mare. We've had to do a big one now in Sheffield, but
it's not working. What are you talking about, Boris?
Is the approach that I want to take. But, obviously, we have to retain all measures in reserve. I don't think there was a question for either. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Just avoid the issue of Dominic Cummings, of course, and avoid the issue of your father traveling to Greece. Was it... Greeks have banned flights from England. He bypassed the ban. There we go. Regardless of any other outbreak, Bozo won't close pubs. If pubs are an issue, then it would make sense to close the pubs. But pubs are going to be an issue. But I think instead Boris Johnson is going to apply this whack-a-mole approach, as he talked about before. He said, if a spike appears, we're going to close down that local area. Local pandemics for local people. What happened to Bill? That's for after. Leicester, Sheffield, too far up north for him to care. Stay in the pub, control your pint, save yourself. Boris' plan is to allow people to pee in one section of the public pool. Very well put, Kenny. Yes. Okay, let's move on to the next video. So this is Boris Johnson interviewed by LBC. Upload this. Hopefully it will work.
we've progressed, thanks to the efforts of the British people, from an incidence of the disease at about 1 in 400 a few weeks ago to maybe 1 in 2,200 today. You're appreciably less likely now to be in close proximity to someone who has it than you were even a couple of weeks ago. So we're making progress. We aimed for July the 4th. We wanted to set ourselves a target. We think we're in good shape, but my message is, let's not blow it now, folks. We've done a fantastic job so far in bearing down on this disease collectively. Let's not blow it now. I'm afraid there are some countries around the world, some places around the world where you are seeing spikes in the disease. Some places where I'm afraid it's not just the numbers of cases are going up, but also the hospital admissions are going up in other parts of the world. And we need to recognize that that is always a risk.
Why are you talking about other parts of the world, Boris, when the issue is what's happening in the UK? And you have said we need to be careful, but at the same time, you're saying, let's reopen, let's get back into the pubs, let's spend money. This has always been the case. It's about money or public health. And the Tories fall on the side of money, protecting the economy. Now, someone in the comment section said to me that I'm wrong by saying that it's based on a premise of protecting the economy. It's actually more an ideological issue about throwing the poor and the working class under a bus. Now, I don't know if I understand that type of argument, and I understand why somebody would say that. Perhaps part of me hopes that it's not true, that Boris Johnson actually is focused more on getting the economy moving so that he can get money into the treasury coppers, and not some type of horrible experiment where we throw the poor, the working class, ethnic minorities under a bus, because they would be the worst. They would be the first victims, or are the first victims of this pandemic. Protect a certain class, allow the other class to become the cannon fodder. I hope that's not the case. Tor McCool, thank you so much for that kind donation. Unfortunately, I can't see the message, so please write it in the chat. Unfortunately, I can't see it, so maybe I can try and just bear with me a moment, guys. So I'll see what Tor has said. Let me appear over here. Okay, so sorry, I want to just say thank you very much, Thor. So Thor said, tomorrow the message will be Coronas. Here we come. When watching Boris versus against Keir Starmer, Boris has to shout and gesticulate to hide. Yeah, he is able to fight at the same level. He's not going to be the next prime minister. I hope that's the case. I hope Boris Johnson will not be the next prime minister. But we will see. I'm quite impressed with Keir Starmer, and I hope he's up for the job when Parliament returns to normal. But we will have to see. I think it's difficult to judge the situation at the moment. When watching Boris, okay, I see your message here. Okay, thanks for posting it here. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to shift to the other side of the pond for a moment, and then we'll come back to the UK, of course. This is extremely worrying at the moment, what's happening in the United States. We'll come back to Boris and Super Saturday later on. But this article here about what's happening in the United States, and we have a few Americans on the stream tonight, so they can perhaps update us on what's happening there also. So it says here, coronavirus, US reports world's biggest daily increase in cases with 55,000. Dr. Fauci describes very disturbing week as tally tops Brazil's single-day record and infections rise in most states. I'll do that later. So the US reported a daily global record of more than 55,000 new coronavirus cases on Thursday, as infections rose in the vast majority of states, and America's top health expert spoke of a very disturbing week. Hospitals in some of the new hotspots in the US South and West put themselves on a crisis footing and face becoming overwhelmed. Florida reported almost 10,000 new cases in the past 24 hours, and that state, along with Texas, Arizona, and California together, made up half of the total of the new infections. The daily US tally stood at 55,274 new cases late on Thursday, topping the previous single-day record of 54,771 set by Brazil on the 19th of June, and exceeding single-day tallies for any European country at the height of the outbreak there. What we've seen is a very disturbing week. Anthony Fauci, the top federal health expert on the White House coronavirus task force and long-term director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, said in a live stream with the American Medical Association. The surge this month, after a steady improvement in California and a containment improvement in the previous center of the pandemic, New York, has been blamed in part on Americans not covering their faces in public nor following official other social distance guidelines or rules as the states swiftly lifted their lockdowns. So, of course, what was happening is, while we saw pictures from New York where they were burying people in mass graves, awaiting them to be eventually exhumed and given, decent burials. What's happening is that Republican-led states decided we don't need a lockdown. We're going to leave our economies open. We're not going to impose any type of lockdown. And you had these idiots turning up at state houses that were run by Democrats, egged on by the right-wing media like Fox News and its type, convincing people that masks are a form of tyranny, and the real enemies of the people are the governors who are asking people to social distance and attempting to lock down their states. Those states are not seeing huge numbers now. The states that are run by Republicans are starting to see much bigger outbreaks. Now, California is an exception, and there may be another state that's run by a Democrat that is an exception. The California is a particular state as well, because the governor can impose certain rules, but of course it requires the cooperation of the public. But if the governor doesn't give a crap about it, then it's very difficult to have the cooperation of the public. No doubt the lefty fascist thugs will be out in force tomorrow trying to spread their hate as usual. Truth seeker, I don't understand. Dave Mullen, welcome. Bozo's still in charge. Yes, he is. Herman Cain. Who is Herman Cain? Herman Cain, LA is getting hit hard. Herman Cain was a candidate for president back in 2012, yeah. He ran against, he was running against Mitt Romney, but he failed. And I don't think he really did anything after that. Born on the 4th of D, you lie. Trump ranks Putin very highly. He wants to be Putin's guy. What will be left, though, is all his junk pile scams. Is sworn is scorn of his faulty truth spy. 1,000 subs before the end of the quarantine. Her main cane is a pizza guy turned hopeful presidential candidate. Yeah, he run a pizza company or something like that. So Donald Trump, of course, commented on this. There is a rise in coronavirus cases because our testing is so massive and so good, far bigger and better than any other country. This is great news, but even better news is that death, and the death rate is down. Also, younger people who get better much easier and faster. So Donald Trump's idea is that things are going good if the number of new cases are going up, because it means that our testing is good. So it means that more people are infected. You know, it's like saying, I'm trying to find an analogy. It's quite difficult. It's like saying, I don't know, I find out that my wife is having an affair because I found someone hiding in my wardrobe. So the more people I find in the wardrobe, this is a success. I don't know, it's not a fantastic analogy, but he seems to think that the more cases they have, the better, because they're testing more. Yes, but what we're worried about is the result. The result is you have higher cases, more people infected. He's treating it as it's some type of game. That, well, if we have lower cases, it's better for the politicians or something like that. It's better for the public if you have fewer cases. He seems to think that, because we have so many cases, that's making me look bad. And we can't have that. So I have to try and change it around to make me look good. It's all about him at the end of the day. Donald Trump doesn't give a flying F if tens of thousands of people die. It's all about protecting him. If the numbers are up, how can I spin it in a way that it makes me look better? Yeah, we're testing more. We're testing more than any other country. That's mental gymnastics at its finest. That's what it's all about. It's about protecting Donald Trump. Donald Trump cares about protecting Donald Trump. And he said it before. He could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. He could allow, was it over 150? Is it, or how many? I don't even know how many people have died at this stage in the US, but it's over 100,000. Just say feck. Yes. He doesn't give a flying feck of the people, of the ordinary people in the United States. It's all about protecting him. You're supposed to sign it to the tune of I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. Okay, honestly, you can't get the star. There's no thinking involved, Max. It's senility. Yes. One like, one pint. Just how big is your wardrobe? Buckethead. Love the name Buckethead. Max, do you watch the Michael Spicer? Did you watch the Michael Spicer channel, The Next Door Room? He pretended to be a man giving advice to politicians through an earpiece. Hilarious. And I have to check that out. I've seen a few of his videos, but I haven't seen all of them. The Statue of Liberty was who Trump shot on Fifth Avenue. Dead right. Have you seen the second video from today by Phil Morehouse? If yes, do you think it would be a deal after what he said, at least an extension? Or do you say it will be no deal Brexit? I haven't seen the video, so I can't really comment on the content of the video, but I can say that I think I don't know, it's difficult. I don't want to come down on the wrong side. I don't want to predict the wrong thing. But in regards to Brexit, part of me feels that the UK, all of this no deal Brexit, all of this we've ended, we're going to end the transition period on this date, is all show. Part of me believes that at the last minute, they'll require an extension. They'll ask the EU, please give us an extension, and they will give an extension. This thing of it's set in stone and whatever, it's not going to happen. I think this is political theatre. Now, I could be wrong, and it could be true that Boris Johnson doesn't want an extension, and the UK will end the transition period at the end of this year and crash out without a deal. We'll leave the transition period without a deal. But part of me feels it's just theatre, political theatre. It's a scam. It's a way to scam the Brexiteers to maintain their support. But I'm in two minds about it. So it goes on to say in this article, California has seen positive tests climb 37%, but hospitalizations are up 56% over the past 2 weeks, which is very serious, because the positive tests have increased a certain amount, but hospitalizations have increased a greater amount. That means that the people who are testing positive just doesn't mean that they're young people who are okay. There is this idea that, well, if you're young, you test positive, you're fine, you're not sick, you can just go back into work. But as I think it was James O'Brien had said in one of his shows, I could be perfectly fine. I could have recovered from coronavirus, but I could touch a surface and bring it back home and spread it to other people in my home. Doesn't mean that because I have recovered from it that I'm not able to carry the disease around. Patients with serious cases of COVID-19 are flooding into hospitals across the southern and western states. Mississippi, Tennessee, Texas, Nevada, and Arizona set records for hospitalizations on Thursday. Now, I really hope after this, or even before this ends, that these states, the people, the members, the citizens in these states, these Republican states, Mississippi, Tennessee, Texas, Arizona, Nevada. I think Nevada is a more democratic, but I think the first three for sure are Republican states, and I hope those people are going to say, actually, we would like to have Medicare for all. We can't continue in this way. Our hospitals are being overwhelmed. Governors don't give a crap. The politicians don't give a crap. The president doesn't give a crap. The politicians that we have been voting for over the last, I don't know how many decades, the Republican Party, don't give a crap about us. Maybe it's time to change. Not that I think that the Democrats are hugely better, but in these states, I think the Democrats are a better choice. Of course you can, if it's that's just the chat, then make it certain Max will see it. Chat moves faster. Max does not see all questions. Yes. Unfortunately, when I'm reading some of the articles or watching a video, I don't see the chat, but I do see the super chats. Fauci also warned that the virus is nowhere near under control in the US. See, Donald Trump wanted this to all just disappear. Donald Trump is on the stream. Welcome, Mr. President. I hope you're very well. It's a setup. Donald Trump, it's tremendous to have you on the stream. It's fantastic that you can take time out from Twitter to come and gracious with your presence. Global Twig, we've been making some assumptions about the transmission of the virus. It seems to be more variable than black and white. So continuing this article, some Arizona hospitals are rushing to expand capacity in the way many New York hospitals were forced to at the height of the outbreak there, when up to 800 people were dying every day in April. The Washington Post reported on Friday. That means doubling up hospitals in beds, hospital beds and rooms, stopping non-essential surgery, and recruiting extra health workers from outside their regions. Now, I don't know if you can just highlight this. No, I can't highlight it. The stopping non-essential surgery. Now, this is extremely damaging. I've talked about this before, how, people who have particular treatment. Donald Trump is only 3.6 Röntgen. Not fantastic, but not terrible. Or is it the other way around? But I've talked about this before, how non-essential surgery is being cancelled, and this means that many people who have requirements for surgery will be asked to wait. And if you have a particular condition that needs surgery, maybe not immediately, you don't need immediate surgery to deal with this problem, but you need medication, or you need some type of surgery that would help your condition, and you can't get it now, it means that later on you're going to develop greater problems. Tom, so I just go back to, oops, close that. Just a moment. Tor asked another question. Unfortunately, they're not appearing in the chat, so I need to see them on another page. Norway population 5.4 million, COVID dead 251. UK population 66 million, COVID dead 44,000. That is a comparison. It's it explains in detail, like it explains perfectly how you have the approach is important, how you deal with this virus. People are talking about, well, it's the numbers of the population, whatever. Not entirely. Part of it is related to how your government deals with this problem. Joseph says people who vote should look at how much they're paying the man in charge to do the job. If a care worker is paid £12,000 a year, is Johnson worth 100,000? Johnson should do it for free, or he should actually pay the people to allow him to be prime minister. Bite size ghost story is great to see you. What do you say is better for the UK? What would you prefer, a Brexit deal or an extension, or some good amount of time, for example 1 or 2 years, or minimum 3 years, until the 31st of December 2023? So would it be better for the UK, not so much for me because I'm not in the UK, but would it be better for the UK Brexit deal or an extension? I see. If there isn't an extension, you're going to have a deal, but it'd be probably a worse type of deal than you'd get during an extension, because at least during the extension, the UK will follow will be aligned to EU rules and regulations. So it would actually be better for the UK economy to maintain the transition period, to extend the transition period. I thought Johnson was paid in big chicken feet. Midnight barbers. But I think would it be better, some type of deal? I think no Brexit would be the best. But I think it's going to be probably, I would say an extension would be better. To extend for another 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, whatever, it would be better for the British people. You get your deal at the end, but you would be, because you'd be aligned with the EU, you wouldn't be suffering the consequences of a no-deal Brexit. I genuinely can't listen to the Tories defending this government. They should be shown footage of the morgues at their peak. Yes, I agree. Taiwan population 24 million. 7 COVID-19 deaths. Go figure. Michael, yes. It's all about the approach. Just look at Scotland. Look at Ireland. Look at South Korea. And then compare it to Brazil. Compare it to the United States. Compare it to England. And I'm not criticizing England or the NHS in England. I'm criticizing the government, because it's the government that decides the approach. There will never be a Brexit deal, says Christian. Max, according to WA UK, UK can have only one extension of 1 or 2 years, and that's it. That's correct, yes. So the withdrawal agreement only allows an extension for a maximum of 2 years, but that's that withdrawal agreement. The UK could actually try to work out a second withdrawal agreement. So I think it's possible that there could be an extension. See, you could say there's an extension. Is there a way around the withdrawal agreement to have an extension? I don't know. There could be some loophole in the withdrawal agreement to get around it to have an extension. Or the UK could attempt to have a new withdrawal agreement. Now, would Boris Johnson be able to get that through Parliament? Maybe. He has a majority. The people who are in Parliament now supporting him will do whatever he says. It's more whether the Conservative Party would be able to get it through. And I think they probably... I think it's possible. It depends on how it's sold to the public. Of course, it'd be... If Boris Johnson wanted it to pass, Dominic Cummings would help him spin it in the way that they want. It's difficult by looking at it from the point of view where we are now. So many things, when we're looking at something in the future from today, it's difficult to imagine how it would pass. But in the same way, if we look back 1 year, a year ago, when Boris Johnson was talking about proroguing Parliament, talking about having Brexit will end, the UK will leave the European Union on the 31st of October 2019, or I'll be dead in a ditch. I don't know if people remember that expression. Okay, so just to lighten the mood a little bit, let's see something a little bit funny, and then we're going to come back to the more serious issues.
Good morning. It's Tim Martin, the Weatherspoons guy here. Okay, groovy. In less than 24 hours, pubs will open and you will be launching the largest, most ill-advised drinking session in the history of mankind. Mankind, you know, that word should have new meaning for all of us today. We can't be consumed by our petty desire to stay alive anymore. We will be united in the interests of JD Weatherspoon PLC. Perhaps it's fate that it's the 4th of July and I will once again be giving you freedom, just like I freed my staff from the shackles of getting paid during a pandemic. Yeah, man. We're fighting for our right to drink and eat crisps in enclosed, unventilated spaces that smell of stale piss and have sticky carpets. And should you choose to get smashed at one of my pubs, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but the day when England, I mean Britain, declared in one voice, we will not stay home quietly at night. We will not vanish until we've had a fight. We're gonna baste ourselves in the COVID juice of our fellow countrymen like massive diseased turkeys. We're gonna keep that virus spreading until everyone we hold dear is dying alone in a hospital, unable to muster the breath even to curse our stupid names. Today, we celebrate our Gin-Dependence Day.
Fantastic. I love these. I love the Ian Duncan Smiths. Okay, back to back to business. So we'll have another one, don't worry, towards the end of the stream. So once again, Boris Johnson back to Super Saturday. Boris Johnson says, let's not blow it. Boris Johnson on eve of English pubs reopening. So it's all part of this, but we'll come back. There's a bit more here in this story. So Boris Johnson has implored people to behave responsibly and safely as England's chief medical officer admitted Saturday's easing of the lockdown left the country trending a narrow path with serious risks on either side. Once again, this idea of reopening, it's not driven by the science. It's driven by... is it donors of the Conservative Party, or is it just we don't want the public to to rebel? In a press conference on the eve of the changes that will allow restaurants, pubs and bars to reopen for the first time since March, the Prime Minister insisted, "We are not out of the woods yet. Let's not blow it. But go and have, 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps, please." It's just so insane, this idea of be careful, but go out and have a pint. Well, not one, because that's not going to help save Witherspoons. Go out and have a good, 5 or 6 pints. That will help Witherspoons. Helping Witherspoons helps us. But his remarks came against the background of the government's handling of the pandemic being branded as shambles. Its messaging around the need to act sensibly also drew concern after it was announced pubs in England would be able to serve customers from 6 a.m. on Saturday. Shaun of the Dead is supposed to be a movie, not a documentary. Yes, I agree, Ken. Yes. I think the pub in Shaun of the Dead would be much safer than Witherspoons. Police and health workers warned that a lifting of hospitality restrictions could result in disorder and a rise in infections. This is the worst part about it, is you're going to have people filling up the pubs, people spilling drinks on each other, fights breaking out, mass drunkenness, and what will happen? These people will go to A&E. And the health workers that Boris Johnson was clapping for and demanding that people clap for are going to have to pick up the pieces. They're going to have to clean up the mess that Boris Johnson has created here. Thank you very much, Tom. Let me just open the browser. The super chat must not be working for you, and I'm sorry about that. Scandinavia, strict Denmark 5.8 million, 606 dead. Finland 5.5 million, 328 dead. Norway 5.3 million, 251 dead. Not, no restrictions. Sweden 10 million, 5,420 dead. Yeah, in Sweden they made this idea. They had this idea of, well, we don't need to do a lockdown. We can manage we can just leave everything open, and encourage people to not congregate. I remember I did a video on it, and at the beginning it seemed to be working, but of course the virus doesn't work like that. A&E on Saturday night is a shocker at the best of times. I really feel sorry for people who work on the front line. In Ireland, my sister works on the on the front. She works in the emergency services, and she has told me that on a normal Saturday night it's a disaster in Ireland. People getting drunk and having to be brought to the hospital. Can you imagine what it's going to be like tomorrow? Yes, thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. The super chat is working. I think it must not have been working for Tor. For Tor McCool. Sorry, Tor McCool. How many people will end up in A&E? Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. How many people will end up in A&E using NHS services? I hate to imagine QA Library. I really fear that it's going to be an absolute disaster tomorrow, and you're going to see hundreds of people. I don't know how many normally is the case. Maybe you can get on the figures. How many people normally turn up in A&E on a normal Saturday night during the summer? This time last year, for example, it'd be great to know, what are the numbers in A&E on the first weekend of July 2019 or 2018, because I imagine it's considerable. But this is probably going to be even worse because people have been unable to go out, and they're going to unleash their frustrations. Now, I know a lot of people, and I know most of the people on the stream will not be doing that. And I think, and I'm not criticizing people for going to the pub. I just think there's a huge risk involved that even if you maintain social distancing, the problem is the people who are with you in the bar or the pub after a few drinks will not. And they risk putting you in harm's way. And they risk putting themselves in harm's way, and they risk putting members of the NHS in harm's way. Really, why didn't they do this, the ending of the lockdown, on a Monday? At least if it was gradual, pubs would be able to gradually ease into this. But no, on a Saturday. It's just really taking the piss, I think. Thank the NHS by giving them arseholes in A&E a weekend again. It's not the numbers that attend, it's the abuse of medical staff have to take. It's like, I really didn't understand what was happening in Bournemouth, where I think it was someone on it may have been Killer on Discord, has said that she had an article, or maybe it's QA Library, apologies, who actually had said it, who had shared it, but I don't remember, about council members of staff for the local council who were cleaning up the rubbish in Bournemouth were being abused by members of the public. So the council were cleaning up the mess that people had left behind during that day when they went to Bournemouth to celebrate the sun, and they were abusing members of the council. It's insane. Once again, it's insane. And I really hope we're wrong. I hope that the number of people who end up in A&E is very small. I don't expect zero, but they are there for legitimate reasons. But I'm afraid it will not be the case. If we can use Bournemouth, for example, as a yardstick, yardstick is a British term, as a rule. That was me, I think. Okay, sorry. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. I think it was actually, when I'd said it, I was thinking maybe it was Glasgow Kiss. But it was a horrible story. Why do people think is cleaning up the blood, piss and vomit? These services are being treated like they are disposable. Yeah, that was something I've always wondered, is surely after this pandemic, people will... The calendar was Killer. Damn you, Killer. people on frontline the frontline staff, the essential staff that we've clapped for. We've talked about how they deserve our gratitude. Now that the pandemic is reaching its end, hopefully, we just go back to treating them like crap once again. Could it be more of a Darwin Award self-reduction plan than getting the economy going type of plan? Dominic, how can I say? Demonic comment strikes again. So it goes on to say, police and health workers warned that lifting of the hospitality restrictions could result in disorder and rise in infections. On a day when the official death toll increased by 137 to 44,131, Johnson said the country had made great strides to bring the virus under control and argued it was time for businesses to attempt to get back to work. Now, something that isn't mentioned anymore, and I'd like to know what it is. That's to put your teeth in, Max. Belfast, great to see you. Hope you're well. Something we don't hear about anymore is the R number. What happened to the R number? The R number has disappeared. Maybe it's not to be talked about anymore, like Brexit for Boris Johnson. Wee Scott's Dog, thank you so much for that super chat. 4th of July. I'll have manky food and shandy in Witherspoons until I die. COVID risen, bless your unharmed ham. Born on the 4th of July. of July. Dance Max. Very nice. Thank you so much for that. I always read it terribly. So we need to do a video. You need to do a video. Wee Scott's Dog. Wee Scott's Dog has a channel. You should check it out. The channel We've Got a Problem is an example. Some on the right seem to have a problem with the NHS staff. Why? Is it because they criticised the government regarding PPE, that there were no PPE, and no, you can't say that the government didn't provide PPE. That must mean that you're a Corbynist, and we can't, even if a Corbynist tells the truth. We can't accept what they have to say because they're a Corbynist. Screw the R number. What about ventilators and personnel to use it? As far as I know, that didn't get any better either, and the UK might need them soon. I foresee a surge in pregnancies for the next year, and most of them are coming because of Boris Johnson. According to Bojo, the murder clan. I shouldn't laugh. It's actually quite serious. The murder clan. The R is still between 0.7 and 0.9. But then again, they didn't publish the private company test data. Thanks for that update, Alex. Dance routine and empty hospitals. The R number has never been used in the correct context by most people in government. I think the R number has always been something that when it's low, yes, let's use it. But when it goes beyond the limits that we find acceptable, thank you so much for that, Tor. If you like this stream, then support the creator. I do. Thank you so much. You're very kind. Thank you much. It's very much. Thank you so much, Thor. The article goes on to say, in future, he said the government would use targeted local measures rather than blanket national ones to try to contain any second wave of infections. That is somewhat okay. I think that's okay, and if Boris Johnson is saying something that's right, then I'll support him on that. But that's okay if the number of new infections are low. If you just have a small outbreak in one part of the country, then lock it down and maintain that lockdown, maintain a strict lockdown until you have it under control. It may not make sense to have a complete blanket ban on something all over the country, but I'm still once again worried about the number of new infections. I think they're still too high in the UK, and the death toll of 137, that number should be in single figures before you start considering easing the lockdown. I think I don't remember which country it was. Maybe it was New Zealand. They had seen a week of no, maybe it wasn't New Zealand. I'm trying to remember which country. There was a country that didn't ease the lockdown until after a week of 0 new deaths. So that was, an admirable approach, I think. You see, we haven't had any deaths for a week. Now let's ease the lockdown. The R number has no meaning at all. It only reflects the registered cases which are taken from hospitals. Thanks very much for that, Christian. The virus is still with us, he says, and the spike in Leicester has shown that. If it starts running out of control, this government will not hesitate to put on the brakes and reimpose restrictions. I don't believe Boris Johnson when he says that. I don't want people to feel that it's safe to go out and enjoy themselves and enjoy hospitality, but it's got to be done in a responsible way. Sorry, I do want people to feel that it's safe, but it's not very safe. Taiwan only had 7 deaths. Wow. Asked whether he was happy with the easing of the restrictions, England's chief medical officer, Professor Chris Whitty, admitted it was not a risk-free next step. They're so cagey with their language. They're afraid to be honest. They're afraid to tell the absolute truth, because they risk losing their jobs. So they are very careful with their words. It's absolutely not, and that's why we've really have to be really serious about it. He said the country was walking a narrow path with really serious risks on either side. He urged people to keep following social distancing rules, adding, if individuals, families and firms do not take them seriously, the possibility of a second wave goes up sharply. I don't even think there is going to be a second wave in the UK because the first wave hasn't actually finished yet. So you're going to see a continuous wave, and I think you're going to see a number of different spikes. Now, what's terrible is that the government have decided to ask or put the onus on local authorities to deal with these spikes. And of course, the local authorities are not in a fit state to deal with these types of situations. In other developments, the government said ministers would adopt a 5-step plan to move from a system of national lockdown to targeted local measures. Tom, thank you very much for that super chat. To the special summer break, stay safe, hamsters. Thank you very much for that, Tom. The hamsters are social distancing at the moment, so they should be okay for now. But they're looking forward to the summer. They have their little hammocks already created. I don't know where they got the material, but they somehow found it somewhere. Doubling time is 3 days, and all we've not achieved is set to reset the clock. Jumped too many species too quickly for a natural virus. Unusually high attraction to ACE receptors and gain of function. Yeah, I think there's so much we don't know about this virus that we haven't had the chance to actually study it properly, and the hope of a vaccine is always further away. UK will be like the US, or a tsunami wave. The second wave will will make the first one look small. Local authorities not properly informed by the government. Max, that's going to be the British equivalent of the Mexican wave. Stay safe, hamsters. Yes. Apparently, a third of COVID infected people fight it off quickly with their T-cell immune response and show extremely mild symptoms. Yes, I've seen the hammock. No, not that. Donors gave a 102-year-old man £30 million to help people, yet his age group has the least protected group of the country. Yes, the World War II veteran. School leavers are going to have a third cut of their grades. This is to force them to resit this year. This is already in motion and the narrative being spun. See language results, media stories. The Big Magnet, thank you very much for that super chat. 3 fiddly rig towards risottos for the house. 3 fiddly towards. Fiddly. That's a new word. I've never heard that one before. 3 fiddy. What did you say? Fiddly. Fiddy. 3 fiddy towards risottos for the hamsters. That's lovely. Thank you so much for that. The papers are out. There's just not. Most people are light reading. Palpable pill for the mainstream media. So the next point it says here is it was set out a timetable next week for the safe reopening of the events industry and theatres. However, Johnson did not offer any details on how this would be done or what day it would be announced. Rules signed off by Matt Hancock. I know Killer is a huge fan of Matt Hancock. Don't stand so close to me. The health secretary were expected to place a 30-person limit on gatherings at home or outdoors in settings not deemed COVID secure. Once again, this confusing message of, yes, people can stay, but they must be with people they know or from another family, or one member of one family, or up to 6 members of another family, or I don't know, it's just really confusing. Recreational cricket would be able to restart next weekend. I never thought cricket would be a serious issue, but recreational cricket, but will it be watched by spectators? That's what's quite important. I just want to go on to, there's a part here. So Johnson hinted that gyms could reopen within weeks and said he would try to get theatres going as fast as we possibly can. So cinemas can open, but theatres can't. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. Michael says Oxford group switched from cancer to COVID-19 vaccine on 11th of January. Tories followed the science indeed. COVID secure is so annoying. Bet that was comments coming up with the slogans in place of substance. You could just print out stickers and you could stick them on the window of the shop. COVID secure. Once people believe it's secure, then it doesn't actually have to be secure. Okay, I want to move on. Just a moment. Back to the US for a moment. We have here about a very worrying report. I'll open it up here. So it says here, Florida is allegedly altering its COVID-19 data. So we saw before how Florida is seeing a huge number of new cases, and the governor is a Republican. He's a friend of Donald Trump. He's a huge fan of Donald Trump, and there are allegations that he is attempting to cook the books or to fiddle the figures in order to make the situation look better for him and eventually for Trump, because of course Florida is a very important state in the general election. It carries a huge number of electoral college votes. So if Trump were to lose Florida, it would be extremely damaging. It may not be enough for him to lose, but carrying the state would be extremely helpful to him. So let's see what this report has to say. So she claims Florida's Department of Health is slowly deleting deaths and cases. So in order to make it look better for the governor. So of course, it's about perception. It's about creating an image that, yes, we are succeeding. We are doing a great job. So in that case, if the governor is able to convince the public, yes, we're doing a great job, this will help Trump in 2020, in November. This is all about, of course, protecting politicians, and at the end of the day, I think also protecting Donald Trump. So she appeared on CNN too.
Well, I wouldn't come forward with anything unless I had vetted it myself fully.
So it says here, on the 25th of June, the state reported more than 5,000 new cases. So she was fired in May after alleging that she was told to manipulate data. So she was told as an employee of the Department of Health to manipulate the data. She said no, and she was fired for saying no. So the Florida has deleted at least 1,200 cases in the last week.
There are a few brave souls at DOH who still talk to me and communicate with me. And they've forwarded me emails, communications, other documentation. I've checked the numbers myself through the data and information that DOH publishes. And unfortunately, that does seem to be what's going on.
So this is that, of course, the newspaper were unable to confirm. So is she telling the truth or is she lying? I think, do you trust someone who works for the Department of Health, or do you trust the politicians?
You guys have been on the conspiracy bandwagon for months. You have no evidence for it. You need to move.
So he's criticizing the media for asking him this question instead of him responding with, "Here is the data. Here is the unfiltered data. Here, or I will start an investigation into understanding what happened here." No, like Trump, blame the media. Oh, how dare you? You know, you've been on this conspiracy bandwagon for months now. Shoot the messenger, not actually present evidence to support your position. Or if you can't present evidence, at least start an inquiry into it. Okay, why did this person present this evidence? Is there something behind this? Of course, he knows that what he's doing. He knows what's happening. So instead of actually defending his position, he attacks the journalists for raising the question.
Move on. I mean, you really do. It's embarrassing at this point.
So as of the June 25th, Florida Department of Health reported 114,000 total COVID-19 cases. But her dashboard reported 122,000.
That I
So if the newspaper's saying that, okay, well, there's a disparity, but is it? They say it's not the government deleting the figures, but you can't say that it's not the case of the government doing it. The best you could say is we don't know.
I'm using on my dashboard are the DOH numbers. They come directly from the DOH data. The difference is that I count everybody who's tested positive regardless of the type of test that they've received. And
sorry, I just want to stop for a moment. Magus Perd says 10,000 people in Melbourne, Australia have refused to take a free COVID test, stating that it's all a conspiracy. This was reported on all news channels. It's these anti-vaxxers and these conspiracy theory people who are going to help the spread of this pandemic, of course, because they believe that Bill Gates is behind it all, or 5G is behind it all.
And I include non-residents. So Florida deletes non-resident deaths from its public-facing information, but still includes it in the back-end data that I designed. So I knew where exactly that data was being published.
So I just let me show you this message here. So the Florida decided to no longer report how many IC beds are occupied. Why? Why would they not want to show how many IC beds are occupied? Build a wall between Florida and the world. It's and of course, why are people not protesting about this? Why are people not complaining? It's because the governor will just convince these people it's they're working for George Soros or someone like that if you protest. Of course, you need to know how many beds are occupied at all times, but it probably points to an overwhelming of the system. The number of ICU beds are running short, and of course you need to provide new ones. You need to provide more availability, and they don't have availability, so suppress the numbers. But you can only do this for so long. What's going to happen eventually is the hospitals will fill up. People will be queuing outside hospitals, and it's very difficult to hide that. You can fiddle numbers, you can change a spreadsheet, but you can't hide the fact that people are queuing up outside hospitals. And of course you're going to see the media will be able to see this and report on it. And if the mainstream media don't do it, ordinary people will go there with cameras and they will report, look at how many people are outside this hospital. Look at how many people there are outside the next hospital and the next hospital and every hospital in Florida, for example. You won't be able to hide that any longer. I'm really worried that you have politicians who are not taking this seriously once again. and they seem to be always right-wing politicians. Why is it the right wing don't seem to consider this as something important to deal with? So I just want to report back again on another shambles, but back on the other side of the pond once again. These ads, okay. Just a moment.
Those flying off on holiday this.
So, what's interesting here is in this article, this is from Channel 4 News. It's Scotland and Wales governments. Is there a border between Scotland and England? I didn't know they had a government in Scotland. Anyway, joking aside, Scotland and Wales governments call UK air bridges plans shambolic. So the air bridge, the idea of an air bridge is that you're able to fly directly into a country and avoid other countries. So it's like in a sense a bridge from one country to the next. So certain countries would allow, for example, UK residents to fly into Italy or Spain or whatever. There would be an agreement between two countries, and this would mean that certain countries would be exempt from a blanket ban, in a sense.
This morning we're taking a gamble.
Were you happy taking that risk?
Yes,
that you
yes, we always do. Yeah.
Just needed a holiday that much?
Yeah, I mean, the kids are happy.
Happy to be off on holiday, even happier that by mid-flight the government announced passengers returning from dozens of countries to England will not have to quarantine from next week.
Why? So it's not that I agreed with this quarantine from the beginning, because I didn't think it was going to work. But now we implement a quarantine, we ease the lockdown, and then we remove the quarantine. No, sorry, let me start that again. There's a pandemic, we impose a lockdown, we don't impose a quarantine, then we ease the first stage of the lockdown, we introduce a quarantine, we move into the second phase of the lockdown, and then we remove the quarantine.
For 4 weeks there was a blanket rule. Today the Prime Minister introduced nuance.
Instead of quarantining arrivals from the whole world, we will only quarantine arrivals from those countries where the virus is sadly not yet under control.
From next Friday, travellers returning to England from 59 countries will be exempt from quarantine. The list includes most of the EU. France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Greece also makes the list, despite the fact it currently has its own restriction on UK arrivals. But the 14-day quarantine remains in place for countries yet to agree reciprocal travel arrangements like China, and for countries where infection rates are deemed too high like Portugal, Brazil, and the United States. The travel industry breathed a sigh of relief today, but this is a decision which has been delayed multiple times. A decision that only covers England, a decision without universal support.
We can't allow ourselves to be dragged along in the wake of another government's, to be quite frank about it, shambolic decision-making process.
A sentiment echoed and expanded upon by the Welsh First Minister.
Dealing with the UK government over the last few days has been an utterly shambolic experience. If ever there was an example of making an announcement first and then trying to work out what you meant by it, that is what we have seen since this announcement was first.
So, sorry to interrupt, but this is Boris Johnson to a T. Boris Johnson says, let's do X, and then let's work out how we do X. Instead of actually sitting down and saying, can we do X? And then saying, yes, let's do X. I would hate to see Boris Johnson build a house.
Trailed in the press.
An assessment Boris Johnson disagreed with.
The convoy is really going in very much the same direction, maybe at slightly different speeds.
Boris Johnson is acting a bit like a dictator here. He's saying, okay, England will decide, Scotland and Wales will follow. But he's not saying it publicly. But that's, I think, what his approach is. I decide, and then the other countries will speak to them after, and then we'll tell them what they have to do. And the other, Scotland and Wales are not accepting this. They don't trust Boris Johnson, and rightly so. Let me just look at some of your comments, guys. So First Minister Doris is a right shoeing. I see a lot of English cars in Denmark. It's been going on for a long time. Is everybody on holiday? Perhaps train crash ahead. Perhaps they are. Portugal was less than Spain. Surprisingly little policemen among the coronavirus victims, actually. Boris the Builder. Can we call the new thing a sky tunnel? Air bridge in the name for Northern Ireland to Scotland Bridge. It's fresh air. Cinemas open because doesn't have people in the on the scene in the theatres as the theatres have. So the actors from theatres can spit. The people can inside the building where they show it. So yeah, so there's less interaction between the actors on screen than there is in a theatre. Cinemas pay lots of taxes. Sadly, surely this must include us in the lack of having anything under control, including demonic comments. Does anyone know the real definition of whack-a-mole? I love Boris. He will smash the Tory party. Let's see how long they leave him in his position.
So, as of next week, dozens of countries will now be exempt from quarantine measures. A massive relief to the airline industry, an industry that has been shedding thousands of jobs on a weekly basis.
Yeah, it is to defend the airline industry. So, once again, following the science. I wonder what the chief medical officer has to say about this. You remember when it was, well, we can't have people on planes because they can't practice social distancing, to let's just fly people around the world again.
But no one in the industry is expecting a stampede of passengers now. In fact,
the cummerbund be on the inside of the jacket. Macs are better than PCs. Thank you very much for that. The cummerbund be on the inside. I don't understand. I'm very sorry. I don't understand the comment. Apologies. Can you write it again or explain maybe? I'm really slow tonight. The cummerbund be on the inside of the jacket.
Most are predicting it could take up to 2 years before their business will return to what they were just a few months ago before coronavirus. The criticism from some in the sector is that the policy to quarantine so late into the pandemic just wasn't backed by the science. And for travellers landing before next Friday, it's a policy they still have to stick to.
Are you going to be quarantining now?
I will be, yes.
How seriously are you taking
it? Because it's against the law.
She's standing there with a mask over, like, it's not even covering her mouth. I'm sorry, like, either wear the mask and speak or take off the mask and speak, but don't have it half on and half off. Okay, but
Or not to.
How seriously are you taking it?
Very seriously in that respect, because I have to.
I believe, I think it should be reduced now. It's gone on long enough, isn't it?
So you don't think you should be quarantining now?
No.
Nah. I love this man's response. Nah. Beard cozy. It's I love the English. I have lots of friends from Scotland, but I love the English response. Nah.
No, not at all.
But will you be?
Probably not.
It's a joke. I have to admire his humor here, but will you quarantine? Nah, probably not.
Who knows? Maybe. I'm being honest.
That's a no, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a no, yeah. Pub's open tomorrow, so let's see how it goes, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, I was Max. I was referring to your brioche eating character. Oh yes, it's on the inside. Sorry, thank you very much. Yes, it's it's on the inside. But I love this man's look. I understand he's not going to quarantine. He's going to go to the pub probably tomorrow. It's all a bit of a joke, really. But it's not a joke. It's criminal. 0 F's given. It's chocolate cake. Because I actually prefer chocolate cake. I prefer Sacher.
The government has maintained that any restrictions relaxed can be reviewed and reinstated should they need to.
Yes, they will be reviewed and reinstated if they need be. Really, does anyone believe that Boris Johnson is going to go on TV and go, "No, guys, you've gone too far. You went to the beach. We didn't stop you doing that. We didn't criticize you completely for going to the beach. We told you to go to the pub and spend money, but you went too far. Don't do it again. But we're not going to impose a lockdown." They're not going to impose a lockdown. There may be some isolated ones, but a mass return to lockdown, no, I don't see it happening. Unless there's some dramatic situation, but I don't see them doing it. They threaten to do it, but they won't do it. Dude, in Italy, the mayor would be standing there at the ready with a flamethrower. Yeah, the mayor, yes. The governor of the region where I'm in, he was saying that if people don't respect the lockdown, they'll impose a new lockdown and they'll seal people in their homes with silicone. That was funny, but he was dead serious.
For now, though, a holiday abroad this summer has got much simpler.
You happy about going on holiday?
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to most?
The coronavirus to go away, so I can go to that pool in my grandma's house.
As travel gets easier and bars prepare to open up tomorrow, the Prime Minister trialled a new slogan today: enjoy.
Sorry. I just want to hear Boris Johnson's new slogan. Dominic Cummings officially endorsed slogan.
Virus to go away, so I can go to that pool in my grandma's house.
As travel gets easier and bars prepare to open up tomorrow, the Prime Minister trialled a new slogan today: enjoy summer safely. The question...
Enjoy summer safely. But not too safely. We want people to spend money, remember.
For many businesses relying on tourists to the UK, will they make enough money to survive the summer, let alone enjoy it?
Look, today's decision might be a welcome one, but there's been an awful lot going on behind the scenes here. We were expecting a decision to be made on Monday, then we expect an announcement late at some point during the week. Now we get to Friday, and even today, sources in the Scottish Government saying to us that the list of countries on that safe list was still changing up until a couple of hours before it was finally announced. Then
this is insane. You understand why it was changing? Because, Boris Johnson's father would get on the phone and say, "Boris, are you telling me that I can't fly to Hawaii? Hawaii's on this list of places I can't go to. Get Hawaii off the list." "Yes, Dad. Sorry, Dad. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, remove Hawaii from the list. Tell Scotland Hawaii is back, is on the exemption list." This is insane. Like, how can you run an organization in this way?
There are still questions about those differences between England, Scotland and Wales. How exactly is it going to be policed? What is there to stop someone landing at Heathrow and then driving home to Wales? At the moment...
Build that wall. Build the wall. Build the wall.
At the moment, it looks like pretty much nothing.
Thanks very much, Paul. Well, we're not out of the woods yet. That is the message from the Prime Minister ahead of the moment when pubs, bars and restaurants in England will be allowed to reopen tomorrow. There will still be restrictions to ensure people maintain social distancing, and the rules vary across the nations. Today, Northern Irish pubs and bars are opening, but you can only have a drink inside if you're eating a meal. From Monday, Scottish venues with outside space will be allowed to open. Indoor venues will reopen on July 15th. Nearly 70,000 people work in the hospitality industry in Wales, where pubs and restaurants with outdoor space can open from July the 13th, as long as the number of cases of COVID-19 is continuing to fall. And tonight, a stark warning from the Chief Medical Officer. If people and businesses don't stick to social distancing rules, there's a real risk of a second wave.
And yes, and he's completely correct. Trent Crusherhead says, Max, I wrote with a Spanish guy. He said that the English are skinned and mostly do skint, I imagine, and mostly do budget holidays with all-inclusive and hardly spend any money abroad. The all-inclusive, so you know, people are going to go en masse to these holiday centers. These I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. For example, Ibiza or somewhere like that this year. We're just going to start. I think we're going to get to a stage where we have to just live with this virus. That the government in the UK will just say, look, to hell with this. We can't fix it. There's just too much effort involved. Let's just go with herd immunity. We know it's not going to work, but we don't have any other alternative.
Penny Stevenson has been in Stratford-upon-Avon to find out how they feel about this gradual opening up.
My message is, let's not blow it now, folks. We've done a fantastic job so far in bearing down on this disease collectively, that we're now able to carefully and cautiously to open up.
Sobering words from the Prime Minister today on the eve of so-called Super Saturday in England.
Ultimately, the economic health of the whole country is dependent on every single one of us acting responsibly.
The pubs open tomorrow at 6 a.m, but be measured is the message. Or as Shakespeare more poetically put it, can one desire too much of a good thing? We shall see.
We will see it indeed.
Stratford-upon-Avon, they're grappling with their own Shakespearean tragedy. With their most famous son's theatre company closed, usually the beating heart of the town, tourism and the local economy has been decimated here. Until tomorrow, they hope, when the hospitality industry comes out of hibernation in England.
Backup house and staff area procedures and how to maintain and use the thermometers. And
in the not so ye olde Wetherspoons on the
so just yeah, there's Boris setting up the public to take. MJ says the public setting up the public to take the blame when the second wave arrives. No need for a vaccine. Everyone just has to wear a mask. Considering how bad teeth care is in England, that should be a polite thing to do anyways. I don't understand that comment. Probably related to something else. I bet they'll be wearing masks over their chins in the pubs too. Pretty much, yes. Max, it will take more than a wall to keep the infestation of the Tories from infecting Scotland and Wales. I clearly don't include Northern Ireland for obvious reasons. Feck Witherspoons, by the way, yes.
The High Street, where the Golden Bee staff are having a different type of lock-in, training for those first orders. The punters already eager, but put aside any nostalgic ideas you may have about popping out for a pint. Think more military operation.
We'll encourage them to sanitise their hands, and then when they come in, before they get to enter the bar, they'll have to fill out a form for the track and try system with their name.
Okay, this is okay. So people will come in, they'll have to sanitise their hands, like in most other situations. But the problem is that, imagine some people arrive at a pub, they sanitize their hands, they fill out the form, they have a few drinks, and they go to the next pub. They arrive, they may sanitize their hands, they may agree to fill out a form. If they do, they'll have a few drinks, and then they'll go to the next pub. If there's a pub crawl, I don't know if pub crawls are still a thing in England. Mainly it's the Irish that do them. But if it's happening, people are not going to sanitize their hands by the third or fourth pub or restaurant or wherever they're going. and and they won't be filling out forms either. And what's going to happen? Also, another issue here is these forms, and it's not related to for medical reasons, this question, but what happens to these forms? Like if I give a pub my personal information, where does that information go? Is it given to the government? Is it stored somehow? Is it destroyed? What's going to happen to that information? I haven't seen any reports on that. Maybe somebody can explain it. But it's I think it's, sanitizing hands and filling out forms will work on maybe the first or second pub, but after that people will just either ignore it or refuse to do it.
Name and number.
Okay, Emily, I'm anti-backed. I've left my name and number already. And off we
then
go?
we just go to the bar, yeah. All the floors are marked 1 metre apart. You'll come to the bar, order your drink, and then just take a seat at the table. We've got no sports subscriptions throughout July. We're not showing any sporting events at all. Obviously, just trying to get people to order through the app. Not being able to just come in and meet your friends. Like, you can only come in with people from 2 households, so I think it will be really different.
Wow. It's quite a different trip to the pub.
I know, it's not the same.
No, just drink crash ahead, I reckon. He looks like a pug. Sorry, Mike, but no, I don't understand. I'm missing some of the chat. Max, herd immunity does and always does mean Tory herd call. No way this is going to... Lenny says, no way this is going to work. Cities on a weekend, every pub will be full to capacity. If they don't get in place, gets whacked. Maybe Boris put the vaccine into the beer so I can save everyone. This is just comedy. What's stopping to put some random name or a person you don't like? Put Dominic Cummins and location and then Durham.
Do you think once people have had a couple of drinks and they potentially could get a bit rowdy that they're going to be staying alert?
I think it will be quite challenging for people, but obviously I think with all the staff, they are well trained. Hopefully they'll be able to keep on top of it, so there'll be no issues.
But for Jan and Michael, sitting quietly on a bench has become the new beer garden. It's a little bit chilly. Are you excited about the pubs opening tomorrow? Will you be heading down there to have an indoor pint?
Not really, no.
Really? Why not?
No. It's I think it get out of control eventually.
Will you be heading to the pub tomorrow?
No.
Oh, straight away. Why not?
Just, I don't think it's safe still.
Really?
Because of how crowded they can get. No. Especially when everyone's drunk. I've had a few drinks and they get really close to each other.
Restaurants also return.
So that's interesting. So probably most people will not be going to... Well, people who are concerned will not go to the pub. People who are not concerned will go to the pub. Pubs are wildly overrated. Pub crawls are still a thing. Oh my God. That's bad news, Jeremy. Comgate reference there. Witherspoons must be happy. I think I have a fear that some pubs will just ignore some of the rules.
And tomorrow in England to a depleted high street, with Café Rouge and Bella Italia announcing more than 90 restaurants would close yesterday. This establishment is still standing, 500 years on. It would usually be Hotel Indigo's busiest time, but with the theatre closed, manager Carl will take only being 50% full tomorrow. What will people not be able to do?
There's some limited items that were what we would normally put in bedrooms, for example, minibars. Some items we would have removed and are available upon request instead, but everything you would have had before we still offer, just slightly differently, as opposed to just having it all out there.
Linen says, ever filled out a form drunk? Funny content, I think. Why don't you just drink that sanitizer? Excuse me, Hick, where is the nearest Cashel, Hick? This is hilarious.
There for everyone to tuck in, particularly breakfast buffets. So we'll be moving to more plated options and takeaway options and room service and promoting that a bit more.
And when in Stratford-upon-Avon, we should mention the other unsung stars of the town, albeit less internationally known, down at the Butterfly Farm, one of many tourist attractions opening to the public tomorrow. Here residents seem to be already embracing Free Flight Friday. They've released over 500 butterflies. After months in lockdown, they'll fly out into the world. Like many, perhaps feeling a little more fragile.
Well, as the government's chief scientific advisor warned, this is absolutely not a risk-free next step, and that's why social distancing remains critical, he said. Joining us now is the chef Angela Hartnett, who's at one of her restaurants in London Bridge. It's due to open to customers later this month. Angela Hartnett, I'm standing outside in the rain. People are still so desperate for a drink and a bit of social interaction that they are bunched up in the porches of the pubs down the road. There's not a lot of social distancing going on.
But if the pubs aren't open, why are people queuing outside the pubs?
How easy is it going to be, do you think, when you reopen, to get people to follow the rules?
I think you've got to be guided by looking after your teams and looking after your guests. At the end of the day, you want your customers to feel comfortable. I think those people coming out have got that sort of let's go attitude, and they want to sort of get Britain going, get the economy moving. So I think it's our duty as operators to make sure that we look after them when they come into our establishments, and that also our teams are protected, because they're equally as important. And I think, you know, with the government relaxing the 1 metre rule, that really has helped now.
Conservator, I'm sorry, not funny. People will die. No, I agree. I think people on the stream are trying to find something funny about the situation because it's so tragic. This we're going to see a disaster. I have a feeling we're going to see a disaster tomorrow because so many people are going to not maintain social distancing. People are going to get drunk. People are going to get rowdy. And unfortunately, many people are going to end up in hospital. And it's going to be a shamble. And of course, the government are not going to really do anything about it. It will be always the responsibility of the public to look after to deal with the problem. Killer's Eye, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. I have a fear. I think this is our only way of dealing with this. It's because nothing else is going to be done about it. I'm afraid Boris Johnson is not going to close the pubs after a few days or even a week or whatever, unless there's some dramatic situation. They have criticized. They will criticize. They will say, well, you know, people shouldn't be breaking the rules. People should be respecting the rules. But that's as far as it will go.
That we can get tables back. But, you know, there's still so much more the government can do, essentially in London, to really push the economy and push tourism back in and make sure the message is clear that London is open, it's a safe environment. But, you know, we have to encourage people now who feel like they want to come out, and we're going to make sure we look after them when they do.
Well, I mean, how easy is it going to be to get the hospitality industry back to some kind of normality? I mean, are we still going to see closures and job losses, or is it going to just spring back, do you think, because people are so desperate for it?
I don't think it's going to spring back. I don't think it's a silver bullet that suddenly we all everywhere. Certainly already we've seen lots of redundancies, we've seen lots of closures happen. I think now...
I agree. I think she's correct here. We're moving into a new normal. We're not going to see the same types of restaurants. You're going to see new types of restaurants opening up. I think you're going to see more people eating from home. People will order food from something. It's something that has been, was it Just Eat or services like this that have been, you know, in major cities for a long time, haven't been really the case in smaller towns, and you're seeing a huge increase in that. People will say, look, I prefer to eat from home. I feel safer at home. It's about feeling safe, I think. It's about, you know, if you go to a restaurant, you see it packed with people. In the past, you'd say, well, look, I'll squeeze in somewhere, but you're not going to do that anymore. Killer should be banned from this live stream for making that type of comment. I'm willing to accept any type of language, swearing or whatever, on the stream, but I believe Killer should be banned for making that comment there about pineapple pizza. Please leave the live stream, or I'll have to kick you out myself.
It's not so much. We had the first scheme, which has been great, and it's extended to October, which is fantastic. I think now for certain restaurants and certain establishments, there has to be a stimulus package from the government. They've got to look at the VAT rates. They've got to look at business rates. They've got to make sure that it's just not, well, actually, now they're open, now they can get on with it. Because as soon as you open, landlords want rent. If you're operating on 50%, you know, you're not making the money to pay that 100% rent. So there's still lots more the government can do. And certainly from my restaurants in London, you know, the mayor has to really come out now and support us. We've got to look at the transport system. Personally, I would think get rid of this congestion charge. I think that is not going to...
Yeah, I agree. There have to be some changes taking place. It's completely ridiculous that some businesses have to pay tens of thousands per month rent, and you know, they end up having to charge their customers a huge amount of money. And then what do you see? You go into, I noticed it when I lived in Dublin. You go into a restaurant and maybe 5 tables in the restaurant all stuck together, and they were probably paying 5,000 or 6,000 euro per month rent in there, barely surviving. Zenerman, thank you very much. Cheers, Max. Thank you so much for that super chat. If you have a comment or a question, stick it in the comment section in the stream. I'll respond to it. But if it's just a thank you, a big thank you back to you too. Takeaway food and drinking in the park. This the new normal. Blasphemy pizza, pineapple pizza. Yes, Marilena is right.
going to help us over the next few months that it's now gone up and it now
that's obviously just a London issue, and we've got to think sort of nationwide. I mean, what about tourism? I mean, how reliant on foreign visitors is the hospitality industry? And do you think lifting the quarantine restrictions on so many countries will start to see people coming back in again?
I hope it will, actually, because I think certainly going into the month of August, which most restaurants do, we rely on the tourism industry. We rely on tourists coming into London, going to all our different venues and looking at different shows, theatres. They're all closed, obviously. Going to museums, hopefully they're going to be open and people can attend them. But that's a huge part of the people that come in August, September, into the cities, into the UK. And we need to do everything we can to encourage them. They've lifted the quarantine, which is great. They need to make sure that when people come in, they feel safe, that they're looked after, and just do everything to sort of bring back people back into the country, I think.
Angela Hartnett, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Well, in Northern Ireland, pubs, hotels and restaurants reopened their doors today, although there are big changes, including protective equipment for staff, restrictions on serving alcohol indoors and no standing at the bar. Porrick O'Brien is in Belfast.
Krish, welcome to the rooftop bar at the Bullet Hotel in the centre of Belfast. At midday today, pubs, restaurants and cafes opened up across Northern Ireland. Now, not all of them opened up, and of course not everyone came out. Still a certain level of sensible wariness in some sectors.
Don't see great sense of social distancing here, but Artemis, great to see you. Welcome. Don't worry if you're late. We're actually towards the end of the stream now, so we're going to end in a few minutes. But great to have you on anyway. Krusty Cat Pizza. An Englishman walks. Thank you very much for that super chat. An Englishman walks into a pub. An Irishman and a Scotsman were at home being socially irresponsible. Crap punchline. Blame Doug. Very nice. I must remember that one. No offense to the English. It's just a joke. Max has given us the Muttley laugh yet. I keep it for special occasions. Killer is right about pineapple. No, Killer is not right about pineapple pizza. Anyone, if I hear anyone promoting pineapple pizza, I will find out where you live, and I will organize a group of Italians from the south of Italy to go there and teach you a lesson. Okay. or if I can't do that, I will find out where you live and I will ban all IP addresses within 100 kilometers of your location. Okay, so even if you move, you will not be able to come on these streams anymore.
Sections of the population, but it felt like quite a moment, to be honest, a moment for family and friends to just come up out of lockdown for a few hours and get some air, basically. Purely as spectators, we went on our very own spectacularly dry pub crawl of Belfast today.
A dry pub crawl. Tenric Moses, thank you very much for that super chat. I hope dining out is safe eventually. Much prefer than takeaway. Yeah, dining out is the best way to eat anything apart from pineapple pizza. But it is, you know, an experience. It's something like I love going to the cinema, for example, because I love the experience of going to the cinema, sitting in a comfortable seat with the popcorn, the sticky floor, the noisy people behind munching away on their popcorn, or the people with their the light from their phone. No, okay, I'm getting sidetracked. No, but I do love the experience of the cinema. I'd like to go back there, but I know it's important that we do it in the right way. I think something that makes me a little bit sad is that I don't feel we're going to go back. I do fear that we're not going to go back to the way things were before. This sort of situation is going to be with us for the foreseeable future. Curry pizza, what the F? How do we get from the lockdown down to pizza? Killer is to blame.
Here is what we found.
Today at midday, the pubs in Northern Ireland opened after months and months of lockdown.
Hello, pub! Daddy's home!
We went on a pub crawl.
Doesn't that guy look like Father Jack?
In Belfast today and bumped into comedian Tim McGarry, who was filming at the Northern Wig Bar.
There's a huge social function to the pubs. This is where people go to celebrate, people go to commiserate, people go to meet their friends and their families. And this is something that, you know, that is essential to our very core, our very being. We genuinely really miss the pubs.
At 5 to 12, we were at the Dirty Onion.
So we're here 15 minutes early, front of the queue, looking forward to it. About time, 3 months I'm waiting.
So it's just...
Once again, no social distancing taking place here. Outside the Dirty Onion.
On midday, we're in the Dirty Onion, and a small moment of history for Belfast. The doors just about to open.
Okay, so the opening lacked a little fanfare, to be honest, because, as with many pubs opening today, there was a pre-drink safety demonstration. Hand sanitizer, a one-way system, table allocation. You have to order food when sitting inside. But finally, a tiny symbolic glimpse of a post-lockdown world.
So I was actually in my work yesterday, just finding out when sort of they expect me to be back and stuff, and it's probably going to be another month or two before I'm back to work. But you're sitting at home, you know, 23 hours out of the day. The only time you're allowed out is to go to the shop. You know, it's going to get to you and stuff, and your mental health does suffer.
And with that...
Sorry, I didn't understand a word that man was saying. I've been out of Ireland for too long.
Sup of sauce.
Good judge. We estimate somewhere in the region of 30 to 40% of restaurants may not come back from this.
Really? 30 to 40%?
Yeah, huge. I mean, same with our pubs, 10 to 15%, hotels maybe 15 to 20. This is the start of a very difficult and long journey. And it really is about getting up to a level where we can stop losing money as quickly as...
I'm thinking, like, if a number of pubs are going to close because they can't survive. But I think what's probably going to come out of this is... Tario, thank you so much for that super chat. If you have a question, please hit me with it in the chat. Thank you so much for that. He had marbles in his mouth. Oh man, Max turns racist. I'm Irish, okay, so I can say that I don't understand him. I think what's going to happen is in the future you're going to have a different type of pub, maybe a self-serving pub where there are no staff. You go in, you get a sanitized glass or something and you fill it up yourself, or something else. I have no idea, but I think we're going to start to see something different. He was pissed. Okay. I'll translate for you. Pineapple. You're on thin ice, Killer. Okay, you're on very thin ice here.
As possible, but looking after everyone's safety at the same time.
Some difficult questions. Will social distancing be maintained as the pints line up? Will there be a spike in problematic drinking? But today didn't feel like the day for those questions. The institution that is Cassidy's Antrim Road.
And if everybody's responsible enough, and because the worst thing we want to be doing is, God forbid, a couple of weeks down the line, something happening, i.e. Leicester, leaking pockets in the south and stuff like that. But it's just up to everybody to be responsible. We all know what it is. If you don't know what it is, you've been on another planet, you know what I mean? And just, just everybody do their bit, and hopefully we can all get out of this together.
So today, some Northern Irish people had a drink, held court, and even got back to complaining about something else for a change.
You remember the fun subjects like Brexit? Oh, Brexit, fuck, let's get back to Brexit and a border in the
Yes, let's get back to Brexit.
Irish Sea and Larne being a border post and annoying Sammy Wilson. That's what I want to get back to.
Yeah, let's get back to annoying Sammy Wilson. I agree 100%. Okay, we're towards the end of the live stream for tonight. So I want to wish everyone a great big thank you for coming on the live stream tonight. Yes, he does sound and look like Father Jack. So fuck arse girls. Arse biscuits. I know some people wanted to hear me say that. So I want to say thank you very much to all of you for coming on the stream tonight. I want to thank all of the mods for their work. I couldn't do the live stream without you. You really are the grease you're the oil that greases the wheels of the live stream. I love my brick. Who would want to get back to Sammy Wilson? So before, of course, don't leave yet. We have our final one for the road funny video. So I just want to, before we see that, I just want to wish everyone a safe return to the pub tomorrow. Okay, so if you are going to the pub, be responsible. Try to maintain social distancing, of course. Wear a mask at all times, apart from when you're putting the beer down your throat. And if you see people acting irresponsibly, get the hell out of there, okay? It's better to have one and have a good night than to have more than one and have a bad night. So let's see our final, and of course, thank you to everyone, of course, for your super chats. They're greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. So I want to just finish with our final one for the road. Here we go.
Hi there, Nicola here. Well, what a day it's been. If I hear the word cross-border or border control one more fucking time, I'm going to take a quiche and slam it off the kitchen window. I've had it all day. Boris Johnson is like throwing fucking mayor out of Jaws. He'll say anything just to keep everything going and scoring political points. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. And if he's not doing press-ups, he's trying to do political popular contests. Look at me, look what I'm doing. The Scottish government are absolutely despicable to say that English people can't come to Scotland, which nobody's ever actually said. Right, I'm going to have to calm down. I swear to fuck, I'm going to need a chamomile tea when this is done. Right, let's see what the journalists have got to ask me today.
To my honourable friend, what he knows very well, there's no such thing as a border between England and Scotland.
No, he's absolutely right. There isn't such thing as a physical border between Scotland and England. What there is geographical boundaries in which I, as the First Minister of Scotland, am in charge with. But see, if there's no borders, then everybody in England, why don't you just get free prescriptions, free university education? And let me tell you, I'm coming down to Newcastle and Manchester and I'm going to introduce you all to Gaelic and Alba TV. Let's see how he will react to that. It's all shite and shenanigans and political points. We're trying to stop people from dying. That's all we're doing. But Boris has to make this a competition yet again. He's an absolute fucking idiot and I'm done with the Egypt. Right, I'm going to have to calm down again. That's my blood pressure went right up. Oh, right, look after each other. Wash your hands. Wear a face mask when you're in the shop. You know the rules. Look after yourself. See you tomorrow. Here, 12:30. Where's my clicky pen? Fucking Boris Johnson. My feet are killing me. Frank, get the door! Chamomile tea.
Fantastic. As always, a pleasure. So thank you once again to everyone. Thanks to all the mods. Thanks to all of you for coming on the stream tonight. Thanks to all of your super chats, all your super chatters. It's been a pleasure. So I'll see you all on Tuesday. Hopefully everything will not be as bad as I had predicted on Saturday night. So once again, stay safe. Stay alert, wash those hands, and I'll see you on Tuesday night.